You could tell that I was burning oil bad.
About ready to install my last valve seal.
But anyways, good stuff. I recommend it. Alright, last one. Here we go. Anyways, Thomas is up and running. The valve stem seals were not the problem. Kind of need this truck going. Hopefully I can get this engine pulled, get that other engine in, have this back on the road in the morning. It's the plan, at least. Either way, let's get started. Got her out. She's swinging. Alright, so got the new old engine back in and connect the battery, and I think this thing will go vroom. Well, today's gonna be a shop day. Like I said, when I was at the Lake City cutoff airing up my tires, that I'd been burning oil throughout my San Juan journey and getting a lot of smoke. And I was pretty sure it was my valve stem seals. Well, I went to researching it, and it's my valve stem seals. So what's happening is when I'm going downhill and not on the gas, my throttle plates are closed, which increases the vacuum pressure inside my cylinders, and without good valve stem seals, you'll draw oil in past them and down into the combustion chamber and burn it off. And then when you get to the bottom of the hill and you give it the beans, you get a big puff of smoke. That's because you had oil in there and you just gave it gas, which increases your burn rate, which means you're burning off a lot of oil real quick and you get a big puff of smoke. But the smoke starts going away after you start going down the road, and that's because the vacuum is being supplied through your carburetor and your intake. And originally, when I started driving Thomas after I got him all put together, he was smoking a little bit, and I thought, oh, okay, well, it's carbon buildup inside my muffler and stuff from 5 years of burning oil, and 4 of those 5 years at a significant rate. So I have a bunch of carbon built up in my exhaust, and with this new high flow exhaust header I have, I'm putting more heat back there, which is cooking off that carbon. Well, if that was the case, the smoke should start going away, not increasing, and it's increasing a lot more and a lot more. So it's my valve stem seals, which I suspected. But why? I replaced this valve stem seals, brand new. Well, I started researching those, and apparently I bought valve stem seals for a 2.4 liter 2RZ engine, not a 2.4 liter 22R engine. I just got excited. Oh, look, quality seals at a good price. 2.4 liter. That'll work. But I remember when I was putting them in, they were different from the ones I was taking out. The ones I was taking out, the cap is a little bit shorter and the valve seal's a little bit fatter. And I was thinking, oh, well, the new ones are taller. That's okay, more material, and they're not interfering with anything what you do. And they're a little bit tighter because I guess they're brand new and they're not stretched out. That makes sense. But under closer inspection, not only is the cap a little bit taller, it's also a little bit fatter. And being a little bit fatter, it's not locking down on my valve stem guide, and being tighter around the valve stem and the valve going up and down is pulling it up off of the valve stem guide because it's not locked on there sealing it. So when I'm going downhill and I get that increased vacuum pressure, it's not drawing it in past the valve seal, it's drawing it up under the valve seal and down past the guide and into my combustion chamber. I'm getting my smoke. So I'm going to have to put the right ones in. Luckily, years ago, I bought the right ones. I had them in this box of parts goodies that I have back there, and a lot of times I'm surprised at what I have, and this right here was one of those pleasant surprises. So I was gonna try this trick I learned on the Yodotech forums on how to replace these without taking the head off. You just gotta take your rocker arm assembly apart. But that compromises the integrity of your head gasket, and that's not something you want to do. And so I have a new head gasket and head stud sitting down there at the parts store waiting for me. So I'll go get those and a valve spring compressor and get her all pulled apart and all put back together with all the right stuff, and hopefully have it on the road by the end of the day. That's the plan anyways. Well, cool story here. Thomas comes apart real easily. I got the valve cover off, the valve rocker arm assembly out, the head studs removed, the exhaust disconnected, along with the power steering pump and the belt taken off. I'm not removing my intake because I think I can lift this with the intake still attached. I got the coolant drained, or I think at least enough to do what I need to do. And this guy should lift off here pretty easy. I'm gonna try not to take it all the way out because all I need to do is slide a head gasket in, but we'll see. But yeah, that was a 25-minute job. I'm like halfway done with that part. All right, got my new head gasket and valve spring compressor and new set of head studs. See if we can pull this head out with the intake still attached. I think I can, but it's a little tough. I started thinking about just lifting it up and slide a new head gasket in there. I'm like, how do you know if you get good placement or not? Get that thing out of there. Got the head off and everything, and yeah, you could tell that I was burning oil bad. I had this thing so cleaned up and spiffed before I put it back together. So I'm gonna get the wire wheel on the grinder, clean it up a little bit. I want to get this back to the way I had it looking when I first put it back, or put it together. Isn't that pretty? Look at what I did. It's maybe not as good as what I had when I first got started putting this thing together a couple months ago, but you know what? A lot better than it was, right? Yeah. And here you can see I got the cylinder head all shined back up too. It was really carboned up and cruddy, so we should be good, ready to put this old boy on there.
About ready to install my last valve seal.
Valve stem, stem guide. This guy, you can see there's different rings in there. This is an old one. It's missing a lot of those, and you see how it kind of got screwed up on its way out? That's because there's no coming up, but it locks on that little bit of a lip right there, and I think that ripped it up or something when I put it on. But every single one of these, you can see that oil in there, way in there deep. Yeah, every single one has oil. Right about there, you can feel them just click on real nice. Click. And you got a valve stem seal installed. Next thing after that is to install your spring and retainers, and this is hard with two hands, so I can't imagine doing this one-handed. Alright, so when you have them like that, you can pull this guy up and see how he locks in there like that. And then you can loosen this guy up some more. And he's off of the seat right there. And then this guy pops right out. You can squeeze both sides. Bam. Now, let's clean up a head gasket. Put it on the block. I use this stuff.
on my head gaskets. Comes out looking pretty coppered up and pretty, right? Yeah. It's kind of sticky, and it looks really good, or it looks really good. Works really good, and I've never lost a head gasket since I started using it. And really, I've only ever, had one head gasket fail in my life, and it was not totally related to the head gasket. But anyways, good stuff. I recommend it. Cylinder head's on. Drop the rocker arm assembly on there. Ready for head studs. Alright, head studs are torqued down once. Go through them again at 58 foot-pounds, but I went 60 just just cuz. Alright, last one. Here we go. Alright, now you install your cam bolt. 19 millimeter, torqued down to 58, but you guessed it, I'm going 60. The screwdriver sure looks weird, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, the reason you do that is there's the timing chain tensioner down there. You need to compress it in order to get your cam sprocket back on there along with everything else. So you do that, you get another like a screwdriver to go up in there in that hole and kind of tweak it up, and it pops on real nice. And then you get to put your bolt in there, torque it down to 58, but you guessed it, we're doing 60. All right. Another thing, that is not your top dead center. That guy right there, that's your top dead center. You can see how he's not quite lined up with those marks. He would be hitting like right here, and these guys are off. All right, you can't really see it too well, but this is my timing marks right here. And right there's top dead 0. This goes all the way over to that mark right there. Is 12, and then I'm not sure what that is. Either way, that's 12. I like to be at 12 or just a little bit this side of 12, so like 12 and 13. So got the timing light all hooked up. All right, let's try it. Key on, clutch start, cancel. Hey, let's hook up the spark plug wires. Man, would you look at that? 1, 2, 3, and 4 spark plug wires, all hooked up and ready to go. Let's see. I can see my timing mark, and it's hitting on 5 degrees. Thomas is up and running. Maybe do a little bit of fine tuning. I'm on my way to O'Reilly's right now to return their valve spring compressor, pick up some diff fluid, and change that out, along with figure out where my short is here, because I managed to short my stuff out in the San Juans. I'm pretty sure I know where it is. It's with my stereo hookup. I bet my electrical tape fix came unstuck and is grounding out, and it kills my taillights. So get that fixed, get my money back for that, throw some diff fluid in there, new fresh Valvoline or something, be happy. And yes, see how things go. Well, I never claimed to be an engine builder or anything, and the valve stem seals were not the problem, and most of my experience has come through mistakes and bad advice, and that's where I learned how to do most of my stuff. And my mistake was taking bad advice and
over honing my cylinders, I'm pretty sure. And it doesn't matter how you put those rings in, just as long as they're in there. No, they have top side and bottom side, and you just maybe 30 seconds with the honer, not 10 to 20 minutes. So, kind of need this truck going. It's not just my toy, it's also my daily driver. It's a tool and a toy. So, as much as I don't want to, I'm going to put my other engine back in. It's not the best, but it at least doesn't burn, you know, a quart of oil every 100 miles. And that's better than, you know, having my fingers crossed that this one's going to seal up and quit burning oil. Because at this rate, it really does not look like that's going to happen. So, tonight, hopefully I can get this engine pulled, and get that other engine in, have this back on the road in the morning. It's the plan, at least. We'll see how that really comes to fruition or not. Either way, let's get started.
Doesn't look like it. We're making pretty good progress. Been at it for maybe about an hour. Got the radiator out. I got my motor mounts unbolted. I found last time it was hard to get the engine off with the mount still attached and try to get them around that bolt right there. So I think it'll just, you know, come right up off the plate there. Got the exhaust out, got the distributor disconnected, the starters removed, coolant pipes. I think I'm all good with the coolant. Disconnect the choke, I guess. And then the alternator wires, bell housing, and I think that's all I need to do. All of these gaskets that must be replaced. Unless you have a reusable Teflon intake manifold gasket. This would be the third time after this. Once I take this intake off and put this intake back on, that'll be the third time that I've used this intake gasket. It's awesome. I recommend them. If you can find them for whatever kind of engine apparatus that you're running in your rig, go and get one. It's pretty cool. If you plan on doing engine swaps and stuff, or anything like me where it's like, let me try this. Oh, no. Try something else. Oh, no, put that back. You might want something like that, you know? Anyways, gonna go do my thing. I'll be back. Got her out. She's swinging. And I'm gonna find a spot to set her down, get some blocks. Go over there and grab my other one, roll it over. Start pulling parts off of this, putting parts on that. Put it in and start it up. All right, so got the new old engine back in. Got all my goodies put on. Just need the radiator and the two hoses and fill it up with fluid. I'm going to drain this oil. I know it's old and crusty, and I'm going to put new oil in it. This here is Roger. So what we had to take off of Roger was the intake manifold. There's a delete plate that goes over this hole. We took that. There's another delete plate that goes here for the EGR. We took that. There's another delete plate here for the EGR as well, and we took that. Also took the valve cover. What really sucks is these are all brand new head bolts. But anyways, yeah, so I had to take that stuff. Oh, I had to take the fuel pump. This is reusable. This is a brand new timing kit. So I can use him someday somewhere. I had to take, well, the exhaust header, it stayed. I took this cooling pipe hose, took that, and the alternator, and the belt, and the power steering belt, and the fan, and the clutch, and the little picker, the cherry picker hook here. So, yeah, that's what's left of Roger. And after we got it all off of Roger, all those things, we added him to Jimmy. And Jimmy, he is now gonna be the whip. Thing with Jimmy is he has a 1981 or a 1982 engine, so he's what, 45, 40, wait, 40, 44, 45 years old. So the 81s and 82s, they came from the factory with a dual row timing chain, which is cool. You never have to replace them because they don't stretch out and all that other good stuff, and you have a little bit more rotation or rotating mass, and so you get a little bit more torque. The only problem is they didn't add a stiff enough timing chain tensioner. So what happens is the tensioner pushes on the timing chain on this side, and it comes up around over here, and the slack that it did not take out comes over here, slaps the timing chain guide, and then does a snake whip thing down in there. It ends up beating the crap out of the timing chain tensioner and then eating on the timing chain tensioner bolts in there, so they kind of become not 12 millimeters, they're just kind of a what's left of a 12 millimeter. But it slaps the crap out of the tensioner to the point that it breaks off and falls down into the oil pan down there and makes a lot of racket, because just slapping on that guide, it already sounds like a diesel. Now it sounds like a diesel with problems, but it doesn't anymore. It just sounds like a regular diesel, because when I originally put this engine in there, the guide was broken off and down there in the pan, and I drove it like that for about 3 weeks. Didn't have any catastrophic failure or anything, but I put the new timing kit in there and it started making chatter noises, and that's what it is. It's not a problem. It doesn't tear up the chains. It just, you know, sounds like crap. But we got it all together. Just got to put the radiator in and the hoses, and connect the battery, and I think this thing will go vroom. Well, you didn't get to see this thing run because this thing won't start. And I didn't record anything because the amount of profanity going down in this shop was a little bit on the lines of extreme. I just, yeah, didn't feel like recording all that. And also you can see it's missing its valve cover. And if I do this, it sure looks like it's not attached very much, is it? It's because it's not. It's only attached to the motor mounts there and there. Why do I have this thing all taken apart all together, right? Well, there's an obstruction in here and I don't know what it is or where it is. You see right here, that's my timing mark on my pulley. It gets up to right there and hits something. If I spin around the other way, that mark gets to about right here and hits something. And I don't know what it is or where it is. The only thing I've done here is I've taken this valve cover off and immediately put another one on there to make sure nothing would fall in there. And there is nothing in there. There's nothing down in there. There's nothing up in there. The other thing I've done is replace the spark plugs. And I did them one at a time. Like I took this spark plug out and then I put another one right back in its place immediately. So I'm not just like dropping things in there. I don't have them all out at the same time, dropping things in there. But there's nothing in there. You can see it. There's nothing in there. The only other thing I've done is I put the clutch on there. Well, there's my clutch assembly. And the engine still won't turn because whatever that's in the way was not there. It's also doesn't have anything to do with the flywheel. So there's nothing on the back of this engine at all to hit anything whatsoever. There's also nothing in the bell housing of the transmission to run into either. So I don't know what it is or where it is. I think it's imaginary at this point, because how do you drive an engine into a shop, take it out, and then put it back in 6 weeks later and there's an obstruction? I don't know. Can't find it. Don't know where it is. Another thing I've learned, because I was telling you this timing chain was slapping the crap out of stuff and it broke the guide, and the guide was sitting down in there and all that, and saying, oh yeah, it's the tensioner doesn't have enough push to it or something. Well, what I found out is those tensioners run off the oil pressure within your crankcase. What produces the oil pressure within your crankcase is your rod bearings and your main bearings. If they're bad, you have low oil pressure. Low oil pressure means bad tension on your tensioner, and that means your chain slaps the crap out of things. So when this thing's slapping the crap out of things and you can't fix it with a new tensioner, that means your stuff is shot. This thing has a lot of miles on it. It's at its end anyways. This one, me and my friend Roger, that's how I name my engines. I got that engine from Roger. I got that engine from Jimmy. So that's Jimmy and that's Roger. So Me and Roger never did Roger any favors. He's been rode hard and put away wet. So he burns more oil than Al Halliburton can pump out. Jimmy here has extremely high miles. He's just done. So I can wait around 7 months to rebuild him because he's the preferred model to rebuild. Thomas can't sit around for 7 months, wait for a rebuilt engine to show up. So my other option is spend $7,000 or $5,000 or many thousands of dollars on a newly assembled engine. Or I could go junkyarding and find me another engine that's high miles or been rode hard and put away extremely wet. Why? Because as of today in American history, there has not been a 22R engine imported into America in 31 years. So you're gonna get high miles and just wore out, or rode hard and put away wet. But something has to be done, and I don't know what it is.